Now we're live. We're so damn live. It's 9 a.m. Eastern on 15th of January, Thursday, and I've been wanting to do a live stream on Substack for a year, really, since we started the live stack, which is going on a year now. And there's a lot of reasons why I haven't been able to do this until now, and I'll share all of that with you as people join and we see you and I see you. You're all joining right now, and I'll interact with your chat and answer any questions that you might have. But I'm so thrilled that I'm finally able to do sort of a coffee talk in the morning. So I've been wanting to do a live stream right after my morning show on WMAL forever, but for a long time, this hour, 9 to 10 in the morning, I'd be sitting on the highway driving home from the studio. But about halfway through the year last year, I was able to renegotiate my contract with the radio station. I actually do my show from my home studio now. We don't really talk about it much because it doesn't matter. One thing about radio where it's audio only is that you don't care if I'm in the studio in Washington or if I'm like 35 miles from the studios. I'm in Washington, basically. I mean, Washington is a small place, actually. Most people who are in Washington aren't actually in Washington, D.C. proper. That's the reality of the case. But anyway, the point is, I'd normally be commuting home right now. But recently I've been able to operate from my home studio. And then right when that started happening is when I started doing fill-in work on the morning meeting over at the Two-Way app, which happens right at 9 o'clock, or I had other professional obligations right at 9 o'clock after my radio show. But I don't today. And so I thought, what the hell? It's like this is one of the few days where, right after my radio show, I didn't have anything to do. And like a moron, instead of, relaxing, resting, napping, working out, whatever normal, healthy people do to, better themselves, I decided I'm addicted to talking to you. And I think treasure the Substack community, the Larry VIP community, that I want to start doing more and more and more of these. Eventually, we'll probably do these for just paid subscribers, I guess. But right now, what the hell? Let's just talk and have a nice conversation and have fun. And I can answer your questions if you have any about my life, about my career, about my family, about the food I like and my cooking. Oh, and yes, I guess about politics and the media, if you want to talk about those things too. But I also feel like you get a pretty good handle on my opinion about those things. Lord knows you get 4 hours on the radio show. If you don't listen live, I hope you're getting the podcast as well. We try to push it out on Substack as often as possible. It's not always updated, sadly. We're trying to fix that at the radio station, I promise. And we'll be getting that podcast out more timely. Having some logistics issues there at the radio station, to be honest. And then, of course, you've got my noon live stream that we do for Town Hall Media, but we just hit 3 topics in that show. And lately, I've been honored to be part of the morning meeting with Mark Halperin over there at Two-Way. So honestly, I would assume you'd like to talk about things other than politics, but whatever you want to talk about. Feel free to just put your questions or your comments in the chat, and I will interact with you as we go. In the meantime, as I wait for you to give me your opinions or give me your questions or give me your takes, I did post an article today at Substack that I wanted to share with you. It has to do with something that I've been talking about this on the Larry Live show, the flesh out, and to do with 2 aspects of what we're doing. Hi there, American Letter. Good to see you. It has to do with 2 aspects of the Minneapolis story, the ICE story. The first is all of the calls now to dismantle ICE, to abolish ICE, to defund ICE. But they don't want ICE to exist, or they certainly don't want ICE to do their job. And you have to understand what that means. If you're a lawmaker and you are moving now to abolish ICE, it means that you don't really want any immigration laws on the books. It's like abolishing the enforcement arm of the IRS, right? Like if and I'd be okay with that, by the way. I'd be fine with that. But let's just be clear what it is. If a politician went up and said, "Listen, I absolutely I want us to have a federal income tax. We should have a federal income tax, but we're going to end all enforcement of income tax laws from this point forward." What you're really saying is people following income tax laws isn't really that important to you. Because what's the point of having a law if it's not going to be enforced? And that's, I hope everyone recognizes that's what ICE means. It's Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So when you say abolish ICE, what you're saying is, yeah, we don't really care about people following or not following our immigration laws, which, by the way, is truly what they believe. They're just now, I guess, saying it in an oblique way by getting rid of the agency tasked with enforcing immigration laws. That's one part of my article that I posted earlier today. But the other part of it is the hypocrisy angle, because we've all seen the videos. I'm sure you've seen the videos of Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, most prominent boomer Democrats who for the last 20 or 30 years have, thumped their chest and strained themselves by patting themselves on the back and grandstanding about how, of course, we need enforcement of immigration. We need a tough border and we need to enforce immigration laws. And if you're in the country illegally, you need to be deported. Right? All of these Democrats all claimed that that's what they stood for. They all claimed that they weren't allowed. Barack Obama, go back and look at his speeches. If you're in the country illegally, you've got to go home. You've got to be deported. And so, of course, they gave their floor speeches. They did their Sunday show appearances. They wrote their op-eds. They campaigned and raised money on the fact that, oh, I'm reasonable. I'm tough on immigration laws. But when in reality, they never expected the executive branch of government to actually enforce those laws. How do I know it? Because, half of those people I just described ended up being president and they didn't enforce immigration laws, not to the extent that we're seeing from the Trump administration right now. It was this little wink, wink, nudge, nudge in Washington, D.C. that everybody could, make their bones about wanting to have tough immigration laws. And there was a sort of wink to each other. It's like, yeah, that's right. We need to pass this law, when you knew that whoever was president wasn't actually going to enforce that law. Because what are they crazy about right now? What are they going nuts about? The fact that this guy from the outside, Trump, actually is taking the law seriously. There has not been one new immigration law passed while Donald Trump is president. All he's doing is enforcing existing law. And it's what none of them ever expected. It's what none of them ever wanted. We'll pass the law. We'll get credit for passing the law. We'll be able to say when challenged, hey, I passed that law. I voted for that law. And then when illegal immigrants kept coming and crossing the border and staying and overstaying their visas and breaking the law and getting caught and working and being engaged in identity theft and all the things that go along with working and living in this country illegally, as that kept going and going and going, nobody was doing anything about it. And so these lawmakers, well, we made the law, and no one ever enforced it. And now that the laws are being enforced, what's their response? Get rid of the agency that is designed to enforce the law. The hypocrisy is unfathomable. How these people can look themselves in the mirror. The only way they can is because they know that hardly anyone will ever call them out on it. So that's why I wrote that article. It's at my Substack. I posted the article on X as well. It's called The Real Meaning of Abolish ICE. Take a look at it if you haven't read it. If you're a Substack subscriber, it is in your inbox today. So I just wanted to expand on that as our live stream crowd is joining. And I do see a ton in there. David and Kristen and Christy and Kathleen and Bruce and American Letter, who said hi. Go ahead and engage in the chat if you want to. If you have any questions. Oh, look at this. I've got my microphone in my. So this is how I. Here, I'll give you a little insight. info on how I do my show. This is the position that I have my mic in when I'm doing radio because I need to have my hands off the table and I'm typing and I'm searching and I'm looking and I've got all these things going on. But when I do a video like this, whether it's the Larry Show or morning meeting or what have you, um, I usually reposition my mic like that. There, there. See, it's that kind of behind the scenes insight that only you will get being part of Larry VIP. But this because this looks a little bit more, television friendly, camera friendly than this. This looks like what? I'm a drummer for a yacht rock band. Like Don Henley. That's who I am. Except for the politics. I'm wearing my Yale hat, unironically, by the way. I mean, it is a little ironic. I am a Yale dad. For those of you who don't know or haven't heard me talk about it, my oldest daughter, who graduated UCLA years ago, well, in 2019, she graduated in 22. Sorry. She graduated in 22 and then joined the workforce and has been a fine, upstanding member of the industry. But then she decided 2 years later that she wanted to go back for 3 years later, she wanted to go back for a master's. So she is actually in graduate school up at Yale. Um, I know, I know. But it's actually a beautiful campus and it's a fine community in New Haven. And she's getting a great education and it is very good for her career. Anyway, so she got me a Yale dad hat to wear, and I wear it only semi-ironically because I have other issues with Yale. But actually, as the Ivies go, I don't know if Yale's actually the worst. Columbia, Dartmouth, Harvard. I mean, JD Vance went to Yale, right? Can't be all bad. Are you drinking coffee with me this morning? By the way, I am. I've got to find. This is what roast am I doing? Oh, I've got. This is blackout coffee. I think we're working on we're close to a sponsorship endorsement deal with Blackout Coffee. So you might be getting your special Blackout Coffee code so you can get a discount from our show. It really is good coffee. It's very good coffee. I go through, I want to say, close to 48 ounces of coffee on your average day. My coffee pot, when I brew, I set it to time the night before, or Meredith does. Meredith is very sweet. She often sets the coffee for me. We grind our beans, by the way. So we grind our beans in a little grinder. We put it into the little basket, and then we set our timer for 4 a.m. That's when the coffee brews. And I think it's a 48 ounce brew that we do. And usually there's maybe 1 cup left by the time I'm done with my morning radio show. Meredith then often wakes up anywhere generally between 7:30 and 9, and then she will often brew another 32 ounces or such, and I go back for another cup then. So I would say I'm anywhere between 40 and 48 ounces of coffee by the time I hit noon. I'm sure it's fine. And I'm sure that there's nothing unhealthy about that. I mean, what are you going to do? I've got the hours that I've got. I do. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, if you're just joining us, I'm now able to do this kind of thing or do the morning meeting or other, 9 a.m. sort of live stream situations because I now do my radio show and broadcast on WMAL from my home studio, same studio. I'm connected, right. It's just a minor little switch with my microphone that I make to disconnect from the radio station and then connect onto the internet for a live stream because our radio broadcast is actually not done via internet. You can catch it on the internet, but the actual origin, it's a long story, but we've got a whole transponder here for radio that we do that is a separate and high quality broadcast connection that is not internet based. I mean, it kind of is, but it's complicated. Anyway, I just need to unplug my mic from the radio connection, plug it into the internet, and boom, we're ready to go. And so I'm able to do this because I'm now broadcasting radio from home. Why was I repeating that? It had something to do with my coffee intake. Oh, because of that, one great benefit of not having to drive into DC proper, my morning commute used to be, I live without, and there's no traffic, at this time of day. To get into the office, to the studio in DC, um, Jack just said I look like Joe Scarborough, and I'm not sure how to take that. Why? Because I'm holding a cup of coffee? Are you trying to insult me, dude? Actually, I have mixed feelings about Joe Scarborough. They're not too mixed, but um, to get into the studio from my home, it's basically a 40-minute drive, which is typical, I think, for people who work in a big city but don't live in it. Please, I'm from Southern California. Every commute in Southern California between LA County and Orange County is basically a 45-minute commute. That's normal, right? And in DC, it pretty much is too, unless you actually live in Washington, DC proper in the district. And even if you do live in the district, like if I lived on Capitol Hill and I had to get to my studio, which is in Northwest DC, still like 40 minutes, right? That's pretty typical. So, um, but one great thing about doing my show from my home studio now, my morning radio show on WMAL in DC, number one is that now at 9 o'clock, I'm free to do something like this. I'm sitting in the same chair. I did my radio show right where I'm sitting. I switch the microphone, turn you on. Here we are. Bing, bang, boom. That's what I do when I'm doing morning meeting now with Mark Halperin. That's what I do. Boom. But the other great thing about it is the front end. Instead of waking up at 3 a.m., which is what I had to do, and I would hit the road by anywhere between 3:15 and 3:30, now I get an extra hour. I'm waking up between 4 and 4:15, get down here. We have our morning meeting for our radio show when the sun is still down. We have our own video connection and conference call with our producer, our board operator, co-host, all that stuff. And we spend about 40 minutes breaking down our show before we're live at 5:07. That's when our radio show goes live. So, when you're waking up that early and you've got to be high energy and have all your cylinders firing, coffee is a big part of that. And so, yes, I drink a lot of coffee. All right. So, Jack also says that I need Mika, and I would say respectfully that Mika is not what I need. Meredith, on the other hand, my wife is lovely and fabulous and inspiring, but she doesn't like to go on camera very often. Very rare. Although we're thinking about if you go to my YouTube channel, so not the YouTube channel where you watch my town hall show. That's my town hall Larry YouTube channel. But I have another YouTube channel. It's called Larry O'Connor Media, and it's sort of like best of my content, things like that. If you look there, you'll see a podcast that Meredith and I did. We did about 3 or 4 episodes. That it's all faith based. It's all about being in an inter-ecclesial marriage. We're both Christian. I am Catholic. She is Southern Baptist, and we talk about how we sort of deal with that, raising children and all that stuff. It's fun. No, Jack, she's not coming on today. American Letter says Northern California commutes were terrible. Marin County to San Francisco. Yeah, people who live in California, I think, are just sort of used to that. I remember when I was um, first shopping for a home. I lived in DC proper for 8 years, renting an apartment. And when it was finally time to purchase a home, of course, we didn't want to live in DC proper. But we were looking at you draw like a 35-mile radius around the center of the city and say, okay, where can we live? Frederick, Maryland, Loudoun County, Virginia, down to Woodbridge, Virginia, various places. And we ended up in Maryland and in that 35-mile radius from the city center. And I was like, oh, well, the commute is like an hour. And I'm like, I'm from California. That's typical. That's baked in the cake. Northern California, same thing. So you get what I'm saying, American Letter. Jack, I'm not bringing Meredith on. American Letter also mentions the Stage Right show. So American Letter, are you a listener going all the way back to the Stage Right show? That's amazing. Oh, and Jack says baby monkeys riding on a pig. Well, that is definitely from the Stage Right show. So for those of you who don't know, who are part of our live stream this morning from Substack, who only know me from my career at WMAL or from Town Hall or what have you, the Stage Right show was my very first venture into live stream. This is before anybody really was live streaming. This goes all the way. This was 2009 when we started this, and I don't think anybody was doing live streams at the time, or certainly not in the way that we were doing it. We did a regular Monday through Friday, every night, 9 to 11 Pacific, so midnight to 2 in the morning Eastern. And it ended up being sort of like a pre-show tailgating for the old Red Eye show that Greg Gutfeld had on Fox News. It was for all the late night owls who wanted to talk about politics or whatever. And it was all born out of my work with Andrew Breitbart back then in 2009. I wanted to start doing a live stream, and we would talk about all the stuff that was on the Breitbart sites because we were making so much news of big Hollywood and big government. And it was called the Stage Right Show because my pen name was Stage Right. I was writing anonymously for Breitbart at Big Hollywood about theater and the entertainment business, and my pen name, my nom de plume, was Stage Right, and so we called it the Stage Right Show. So these guys all remember the Stage Right Show. American Letter says he liked or she liked the podcast we did on faith. Thank you. We're thinking about bringing it back. Actually, we're thinking about doing it again. American Letter says we met back during Breitbart days during the Tea Party and Obamacare. Well, very cool to see you, and thank you for continuing to support what I'm doing here all these years later. That's very, very cool. Thank you for subscribing to the Larry VIP team here, where we're, I hope you've noticed, upping our game, bringing in more content. We've got a whole lot of plans, including more frequently these live streams here that we'd like to do. And just so you know, so I'd love to see how many of you know me from or have seen me on the morning meeting and on the two-way app, because I'm doing more of those. I'll be on tomorrow as well. And it's inspired me to start doing some Zoom events with our paid subscribers here at Larry VIP. So we're going to be doing these live streams, and I'll interact with you just like this in the chat and stuff like that. But eventually, and I mean pretty soon, we'll be doing some live streams for our paid subscribers. Well, you'll get a Zoom link and you can join via video. And we'll basically just have a big old video Zoom session together. And it'll just be for us. It'll just be our private club. And I intend to use it to ask your advice about things, because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a book. I've got a couple of different book ideas, but I think you guys are consumers of what I do. So you know best what kind of book I should write. So I'm going to float my book ideas to you, and I'm going to take your advice on which ones I should focus on. And a couple of other career opportunities for expanding what we're doing, expanding some podcasts that we're doing this year. We're in a growth phase right now over here. And when I say we, I mean me and Meredith. That's the extent of the team. But we're adding more things to our plate and trying to sort of, do as much as we can. Because, there was a time in the media where, I do my radio show every day, 4 hours in Washington, D.C. on WMAL. Podcast is available, live streams available if you want to listen to it live. And that would be it. And if you want any of that, that's where you go. But we live in such a wide open and variety filled media landscape now that I can do my radio show on WMAL with all of those platforms that I just mentioned. I can do the morning meeting with Mark Halperin on his platforms and where that streams. I can do my noon show for Town Hall Media that streams on Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook. And in many cases, in the vast majority of those three shows, that like yesterday, I did all three of those. And there's no overlap in audience. There are people who just want to see what I do, and so they'll watch all three, but that's like a very small percentage. So I can build an audience at noon for Town Hall. I can build an audience at 5 to 9 in the morning for WMAL, and I can be a part of the audience that Mark Halperin's building on two-way for morning meeting, and none of them conflict In no way is there any sort of proprietary exclusivity needed because we can build all of those shows and all of those platforms and all of those audiences without any conflict. People in the media didn't look at things that way in the past. It was the rare instance where you had, Sean Hannity doing 3 hours of radio and then doing a TV show on Fox News Channel. That wasn't typical, but it is different now. It's wonderfully different. And so that's why we're looking to expand and do, a lot of other stuff. Anyway, that's all. I'm just jabbering at you now. It's jabbering at you. By the way, you're also getting a preview of what my costuming will be for today's town hall show. So I will need to take my hat off. I don't like wearing a hat, but there. Okay, I'm ready to do the show now. There we go. What else? I want to be able to answer questions. And if you're not asking them, I can't answer them. But I do know some of the questions that have been asked in the past, and it has to do with my collection of things on the shelf here, where keen observers will notice that stuff has grown there. There are new things there. First of all, working up here to the side and in, that is a bag of Old Bay flavored goldfish. That's what that is, and that's a hat tip to Maryland and where I live, which is in the Annapolis area. Next over, you can't see it now. We got to change. But there's a book that is Ronald Reagan. It's a bio of Ronald Reagan. It's called When Character Was King. It's one of my favorite Reagan books. Next book over is Andrew Breitbart's Righteous Indignation. And the next book over is my book, Shameless Liars, that just released last year. And then in front of that is a little white elephant. There's also a little George Washington. Little George Washington there. Right? But that's that shelf. There's also a little ornamental radio microphone there, old time radio microphone. That's the top shelf there behind me. And of all those, I get the most questions about two things. The white elephant, which was a wedding gift. It actually says inscribed on it, Meredith and Larry, and it's got our wedding date on it. And then the other thing, of course, that everyone asks about is the dog. That's Jeb, who is no longer with us. May he rest in peace. That's what. And then there's other new additions. I've got Doge Squad, my thriller, my novel that I wrote last year, Doge Squad: The Corruption Protocol. That book is there. This light up thing. This was a Christmas present from my brother-in-law Christopher. It's a LED lit radio microphone. You can't really make it out though, sadly. The other edition, there's this red picture frame is an edition. That was a Christmas present from Meredith. It's got pictures of me running the Marine Corps Marathon. It's a montage with a little Semper Fi thing going on. And then in front, I've got an American flag, which had been flying in front of my house, but it got a tear in it. So our sponsor sons, who one is a Marine and one is in the Navy, they were over for Christmas and they folded it all ceremonially in a triangle for me, and so I kept it there. And there's also a little model of a Blue Angel because go Navy. So there you go. That's there's other stuff back there, but I don't want to waste all your time on it because we do now have some questions. Jack is asking, is Walz going to survive in Minnesota? Well, I mean, surviving means going through the rest of this year, right? There is impeachment letters being drafted. They got to vote on it. I don't think he'll be impeached. He might have to resign his position if it means politically it helps his lieutenant governor, who's now running for Senate. But I've lost hope. I mean, again, understand, Minnesota has not voted for a Republican president since 1972, the longest any state in the union has gone without voting for a Republican. I think they're entrenched and they're hunkering down. We'll see. The question is, will he avoid jail time? I think at this point is the bitter question. Jack says I needed a wild turkey bottle behind me. I used to have a wild turkey bottle on my Stage Right show set. Well spotted there. My wild turkey is upstairs. I'm actually having a dry. I'm having a dry first quarter. Meredith is doing a dry January. I'm staying dry until I know this is shocking to you, but it's good to test yourself to make sure you can go without alcohol for an extended period of time, just in case. If you like to imbibe, like I do, I like my adult beverages. I do, I'm a professional. It's good to just remind yourself that you can stop if you need to. And so I'm actually starting January 5th is when I started not having alcohol through Easter. I'm observing the Exodus 90 discipline, which is a Catholic men thing where there's a whole lot of stuff that you abstain from. It's like Lent on steroids, basically, which is what I'm doing. So I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm not snacking between meals. I'm not having dessert. I'm not drinking anything other than coffee and water. No sodas, no sweet drinks, things like that. What else? Exercise every day. Only cold showers for 90 days. Only cold showers. No television unless it's mandatory for your work, which sometimes I do have to watch TV. No screen time working on a computer or your smartphone. Again, only where it pertains to your job or connecting with your family members, but not mindless scrolling. No video games, that kind of thing. I mean, they engage in all of those things robustly. So it is a serious commitment to just say, okay, I'm abstaining from all of those things in my life. You also dedicate 1 hour a day to scripture and prayer and quiet, or as quiet as possible, contemplation on the Lord, which is not easy. It's not easy, but I've done this before. I've done this a couple of times. One year I did it and I was, somewhat successful, but there were some things that I fell down on, which is fine. Again, if you can do half of those things for 90 days or do all of those things for like 50 days, that's phenomenal, right? So one time it was like that. The other time, the last time I did Exodus 92 years ago, it was quite successful. Actually, I held the line on a ton of it. And so far, what are we? 10 days into it, we're doing okay. But that's why you mentioned wild turkey. Do I have a favorite yet in the California governor's race? Like the idea of both Hilton and Bianco. I do like a law enforcement officer being there, but here's the thing: I think Bianco is probably what would make the best governor. Hilton, however, I think makes the best candidate. Um, so we shall see. But thank you for asking. Also, sadly, since I stopped doing my radio show in California back in 2021, I'm not as plugged in to California politics as I could be. But I should get re-engaged now for this election. Jackass, is Iran going to fall completely or will they stomp out the protesters? I mean, you know, you have to be informed and be wise about things based on your experience and based on what history has shown. And history shows that this, theocratic authoritarian regime is going to just wipe these protesters out and stomp it. That said, something feels different this time, and I don't know if it is the overt and certainly covert support from the American president and the American administration. I don't, or it's the Iranian regime, not the mullahs, but the military being spooked by the fact that I think they were truly freaked out by our bombing raid on them and how stealthy it was, how devastating it was, and how easily it was executed. And I think that's freaked out the Iranian military who believed their own hype and they recognize that, they're not quite as badass as they think. And so that I think that might be what's different here is that the military is not necessarily motivated to do the mullah's bidding. I don't know. Something feels different this time. So I hope against hope that, in fact, we will actually finally see that evil regime toppled. Uh, and hopefully it'll be mostly because of the Iranian people doing it. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, unless there's any more questions, I want to wrap things up here because to be fair, this was just sort of a test run because we haven't done this before, and I don't want to take up too much of your time as we sort of test the waters and see. Do you like doing live streams like this, and would you like me to do more of them? Let me know. And especially, do you like the idea of what I floated there, that we do a Zoom call where you all can uh, uh, join as well with your video, and we can just sort of do a regular corporate retreat or something. I'd love to get your feedback on that too, and what more you'd like from what we're doing at Larry VIP. Like I said, we're increasing our presence, increasing our content. I'm going to start writing more articles there, and our show prep, our daily show prep list of articles that I'm looking at. Basically sharing with you early in the morning all of the articles and links and stories that I'm feeding my brain with, so I can do a morning radio show. You can see those too and see what is on my radar, because all those stories end up feeding the programming that we do on radio, as well as the Larry Town Hall show at noon. So we're going to continue giving all that content to you on Substack as well, because we appreciate your support and we appreciate your membership here, and tell a friend, because we've got more to come. We've got way more to come. Jack says, normally I would be reading Cruiser's morning briefing on PJ Media. You'll have to adjust. Well, now, I don't know. You should still read PJ Media. That's part of the Town Hall family. And Cruiser already gives me enough crap. All right. So I don't need any. Jack, please don't say that. Oh, and Derek Hunter has joined. Derek Hunter, my longtime friend, back to the Breitbart days, and now the afternoon drive host, 3 to 6 on WMAL. You get me going into work. You get Derek coming out of work. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us for our live stream. Now that Derek's here, I'm getting out. No. We've gone over half an hour, so I didn't want to go too long. But we'll do more of these. Keep an eye out for emails on live streams. We'll do more of these when I've got the window in the morning. I've got this window between 9 a.m. and noon when we do the Town Hall show, where I'm still working. I'm still doing stuff. I'm still sort of plugging in and getting ready. In fact, hold on. Maybe I can give you a preview of the topics we're looking at for today's show. Still working out. Let me see here. It looks like, we're going to be focusing on Tim Walz's video message that he put out, where he's basically inciting an insurrection in his home state. What a responsible guy that is. Aren't we happy that he's not a heartbeat away from the presidency? Yeah, we're going to be focusing on that obscene video message that Tim Walz put out. We just can't quit Minnesota, you guys. We just can't quit it. We're also and we're also going to show you that amazing side-by-side comparison of how CNN used to cover ICE operations back when they had a ride along with them, and how they're covering ICE today. We've got that as part of our noon Larry show. And of course, we did this on the radio show this morning. We're going to spend even more time delving into that extraordinary exchange between Senator Josh Hawley and this doctor, a doctor who specializes in reproductive health, who could not answer the question, can a man get pregnant? What can I tell you? You have to have an advanced degree from a liberal arts college, preferably a PhD or an MD, to be so stupid as to not be able to answer the question, can a man get pregnant? But we're going to play with that video and interact with that on the Larry Show today at noon. That's so far what the rundown's looking like. We'll have more, so make sure you tune in there live at noon or Eastern, or wherever you watch it. And thank you guys. Thank you for, again, continuing to subscribe to Larry VIP. Tell a friend, get more people going, and there's more to come. We'll do these live streams for all subscribers, and then we're also going to do those exclusive Zoom interactions for our paid subscribers, so that you can fire up your camera, and maybe we'll drink something stronger than coffee for those. All right, guys, thank you for this, and we'll see you next time. We'll see you at noon today, and just to preview tomorrow, I am doing morning meeting with Mark Halperin at 9 a.m., so it'll be WMAL 5 to 9, then morning meeting 9 to 10, and then Larry Live at noon. So that's tomorrow's rundown. Thank you so much for watching today, and we'll see you at noon.